Hello, everyone. Hey, so Romi this side, thank you for joining in today's session number one. And I know that you guys are joining in from various parts of the world, and really thanks that you could make your time and join this event. So, to give you a quick introduction about ourselves, we are a group of designers based out from India right now, from various parts of the country. And we are a part of the Interaction Design Foundation Kolkata chapter. We are the leads of the chapter. And we are a part of a team called Solved by Design. And we are collaborating with the World Usability Day team. So we do schedule this kind of regular discussions, preferably on a weekend, so that everyone can join in. And hence we thought, let's have a quick connect with all of you and get to know each other and talk about design and few topics specifically. So glad that you all could join in, and I think we can start the discussion and let others join in. Yeah. So to give you a quick introduction, I think in the beginning, let's unmute ourselves for a minute and give a quick introduction one by one. I'll start with mine. So I am Romi. I am a UX designer with around 9.5 years of experience and currently working with Geo Platforms, and I'm leading the IXDF Kolkata chapter and the Solved by Design team, and glad to connect with you all. Looking forward to the talk. Yeah. So I'll pass on the baton to Kailash.
Hi everybody, I'm Kailash and I'm also a UX designer and associated with IDF Kolkata and Solver Design from last 2 years, and we have been organizing this session to connect the design community here, and it's good to have you here. Let's contribute to the discussion and let's have a good discussion today. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. First, thanks for joining today's session. I'm Biswajit Adhikary. I'm also a UX designer. I work for a company called Paxkin Solution Private Limited. I'm also leading that IXDF Kolkata Foundation, Kolkata chapter, along with Kailash, Rumi, and Rashmi, and other two people, Anindar Padma. Also, I also be part of the Solve by Design, and we do a different kind of session to increase the awareness of community about the design in that eastern part of the India. Thanks for joining today's session.
Okay, we'll open the session to others, guys, who would like to give a quick introduction of themselves.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a brand and web designer here in the UK and also a design historian as well. So I sort of collect design and share design online and sort of educate as well.
That's wonderful, Matt. Good that you could join in, and good to see you with your kid also. Nice to see. Thank you for joining in.
It's 5:30 a.m. here.
Yeah,
so
yes, absolutely.
Educating him.
Absolutely. That's wonderful that you could join in. Great. I hope you will have a good session with us. Others, hi. I can see Robert.
Yeah, hi.
Hey.
Can you see me? Oops, too close. Yeah, hi. So Robert here from Kolkata, and I'm a UX designer in working with Continental Automotive. And yeah, glad to be here. Like I've been a regular in some of the meetings, and also looking forward to hearing from everyone and sharing some of my experiences as well. Yeah, and yeah.
That's wonderful, Robert. Thank you so much. So we have Shrivar, Nitin, Aniksha. Any one of you would like to give a quick introduction? Hey.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Hi, Aniksha.
Yeah. Myself, Ashwini, actually. Aniksha is my daughter's name. I'm also a UX designer. I'm from Pune, and currently I'm working with Inventive Keys Nasik as a UX designer. Thank you, ma'am.
Great. Thank you, Aniksha. Sorry, Ashwini.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see Shrivar. Hi.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Shrivar. I work for JioSavan, which is a music streaming platform based out of Bombay. Currently, I'm in Calcutta. My hometown is Calcutta. I actually work for the music label, but I'm deeply interested in UX and UI, and I'm just very curious in the design space and hoping to learn and absorb all the good stuff from all of y'all, and hoping to have a great session.
Wonderful, Shrivan. So we are from the same organization mostly.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Okay. Who else do we have? Nitin? Hey, Nitin.
Good morning. Yeah, Nitin here. So I'm working as a UX designer from last couple of years. You can say 10 plus years. Currently, I'm working for Tech Mahindra, and I hope that we'll have a good session so that I can learn something from you guys. Thank you.
That's great. And I can see your chat. You're from Nasik. Yeah. Great.
Currently,
Thank you.
I'm in Nasik, but
Yeah.
my job location is Pune. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. Thank you for the introduction. Good to know you all. And it's a good connect. I think we are connecting. We used to connect on a regular basis. And then we had our World Disability Day session last month. And so then we thought like, okay, let's catch up and just see who else is there around us and connect on the various topics. So we thought let's try to talk about a topic probably for today, and we can talk about design in general, and hence we thought let our topic be how culture can influence design, or how does really culture influence design. And so how we thought about it is mainly because like we were talking about a few things sometime back, and we had a in-person connect also in Kolkata in India. So sometime back where a few of us we met, and so we started discussing about like, okay, how do you really think that culture could impact design, and what are the pro and cons of it, and how really can it affect a product or a service in a good way or in a bad way. So I think let's open the forum and we can start the talk. So who would like to take up the first talk? Like, who would like to share their views on this topic? Let's see before we pitch in. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I can start. So like it's interesting for me because like and many of you all must be knowing. So I'm a I have a Chinese ancestry. So I'm basically a Chinese based in India. So I kind of like have a mixed culture. I think they call it a third culture kid or something like that. So for me, it's an interesting amalgamation of Indian, Christian, Chinese, all the culture together. So like, and then with me on the sideline also, I work with this association, actually community association, where I design a lot of stuff there. So like, I'm also through this association, I'm getting to know a bit more about my own Chinese culture as well. So yeah, so then there are a few things. There are two things I would like to quickly touch upon. One is that there are culture and like the design when you're designing, because I can share one experience with you. So earlier during my design days, I used to design a diary. So I was not too kind of cognizant about the impact of the design on impact of culture on the design itself. So it was just something that I felt, yeah, it's something that you just think about and then not take it seriously. But then when I designed a diary that was green in color, and later on, unfortunately I found out that green and is associated with no, not green, sorry, yeah, green color is associated with death in Chinese and all, and people and all were absolutely refusing to take at least the elder people and all were absolutely refusing to take the diary as a gift or something like that. So that was kind of a shock to me. So, but whether we like it or not. So we need to be cognizant and be aware of what are the cultural connotation of your design culture, especially when you're designing for a very specific demography and age group and community itself. So this is one point. And the second point I would say is, while we need to be culturally aware, but we need to also be like, not to kind of, I would say the word is typecasted, but then there's another thing, I think it's called cultural misappropriation as well. Because like there was an article that I had read just quite some time ago about, like, maybe the moment you have to design something for Africa, you use those kind of like a jungle font, that kind of thing. Even though Africa has moved away from that, they have cities, they have everything, but then somehow we kind of like misappropriate Africa with third culture and like a jungle and those kind of things. Similarly, even with India also, and even with Chinese. So the moment you start designing something for Chinese character, you try to use those Mandarin, typical those Mandarin font and all, even though there are cities, there are like much has advanced a lot, and then there are cities, and then those kind of things. So we need to be aware of both the culture side as well as what it is currently as well. So both. So that is something that I wanted to start off with. Yeah. Over to the next person.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yeah. So who will next? Anyone want to share? Again, this is the informal conversation and this is the open forum. It's not that we only talk. Everybody can contribute over here. So please share your thoughts.
I think personally, because the internet is sort of becoming readily available in and getting faster in countries that sort of didn't have access previously. There's kind of like a little bit of a digital divide between some cultures where technology is a lot more new to them. And I think now more than ever, things like accessibility and usability should be at the forefront of everything everyone's designing. And I think there's this sort of trend where people are trying to design something cool or something that's sort of groundbreaking or does amazing things, but we should always put the users at the sort of most important, at the forefront of everything we do, especially if we want things that we design to be accessible to audiences throughout the world.
Yeah, means now after the event of after the COVID, you can say, means much of the cultural boundaries have been accommodating in a way, and people are accepting. People are different in background, cultural background, but the acceptance has become a norm, and this acceptance is what you can say. Designing for an acceptance cultural is somewhat easy, means the acceptability is easy on the part. If we look at the cultural differences that Robert pointed out, like the color in the color, this if we are aware of the thing, that's fine. And if we somehow invade that without knowing, that dishearten or demoralizes, that causes a conflict in the process. And this is how after COVID had impacted in a way, means the acceptability of the cultural differences. It was earlier also, but not knowing the thing was a bit of confusion when designing for different cultural demographics.
Yeah, I think just continuing from that point, this is Srivar here. So how I think culture really, I think it's the bedrock of design. I feel that it's a big reference point for how design is done and how design should be kind of created. And just in reference to this, there's this one example that I was reading on the hard copy. The hard copy is this really cool website, and they have a newsletter as well where they cover local design stories from Indian brands and Indian outfits and whatnot. So one particular story that I really liked was there was an interview that was happening, and that really kind of really sparked a thought in my mind, where this company, they tried to revamp their website, right? They tried to declutter the website, and they tried to kind of make it more minimalistic and more sleek. But what happened was that I actually had a rebound effect. It actually backfired, because in India, how the perception is, and I'm sure there'll be a few thoughts on this, but this was what I read, that people, when they see that it was too minimalist or it was too sleek, they thought it to be empty. They thought that it was not very full, or it was not very fulfilling, the entire experience. And that's why the brand actually kind of tweaked it a bit. Of course, they reduced the clutter, but they kind of made sure that it looks full, because in India, you don't want something to look very empty or very khali, as they say. And that's why, if you think about it, even the Amazon campaign which we had a few years ago, it was called Aur Dikhao. Just to translate that, it should show me more. We are always for options, because be it a culture which is obviously more people, we're a very social kind, right? Indians are very social, and that is a part of our DNA, that we share stuff, primarily because we also don't have too much space of our own, but we're kind of compelled to share more stuff. So I think that's how culture also has such a huge impact on design, where the kind of people that you live with impacts the design decisions which brands take, and therefore impacts you in good and bad ways, really.
One point I would also like to add here, means in terms of the impact. And I have been in one of the restaurant chain in India, and the way they accept or do not serve certain kind of foods, that is also a point of growth, or accepting their culture into their branding, so that they can grow there only. I mean, if we consider some products which are not accepted, in specifically the non-veg items in India, and they have to add some veg items into their menu, that is also a kind of cultural acceptance or cultural influence in a way.
Exactly, Kailash. So also I want to add something. I'll pull out a little bit back history. So culture is also involved in the process of the design process. If you think about that little bit early, that stage in the ancient age, so that time also the culture also influenced the design process, the way the design is, the product is developed, and the design implies on it. That is also influenced by the culture. So based on the culture, the different demography have that different way of representation of that same kind of same sort of product they use. So that is also influenced, I think, from the culture itself. Yeah, Nitin,
Yes.
you want?
Yeah. I guess culture means whatever the region or demographics on which we are working. So we need to consider the cultural aspects also. What are their beliefs? How user behaves? What are their behaviors? The object and the characteristics of their common values, you can say, or the way they are working, or the methods they are using, or they are approaching, that we need to consider. Because many times it happens that means when I work for ICICI Mobile, it was in 2008, we work on icon designing. Okay, so for saving account we use the piggy box, it's usual. Okay, so but if I use the same icon, the pig, one animal, so I need to check whether for China that is acceptable or not. So that's why it's very important to check all the relevance of their cultural aspect, their beliefs, the color aspects also, because they have some
Sorry to interrupt, Nitin. Even that Gulf country also, they don't accept that piggy kind of thing. That
correct,
all
correct,
the
correct.
Middle East country, they don't accept that PG kind of thing in that, any icons or something like that.
Correct. So that's why it's important for us as a designer to check means for which country or for which region you are working on any product. So you need to think all the aspects which is related to cultural, the beliefs also, the animals, the color theory. So that's why it's important for us to go through all those factors, the possibilities which are there, or you have to tweak your design in a such a way that it will be acceptable to the large audience. That is what I want to add. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nitin.
I will welcome some of the new joinees. Just to give a context, we are discussing how culture influence design, and I would like to ask them to unmute themselves and introduce and share their views onto the topic, and so that they can also be part of the discussion.
Okay, I think Astha is the new joiner, right? Kailash, Astha
Yeah, some Astha Kanupriya.
and Kanpuriya. Yeah, you can introduce yourself in the middle of the discussion if you want to.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, hi Astha.
Hi, myself Astha, and I'm from NIFT Kolkata.
Okay. Okay.
I'm a third year student right now, and yes, I'm much interested in UI UX design, but uh, the problem which I'm facing here is I don't know how to start with the UX process at all.
Thanks Astha for introducing. The UX process itself is a different aspect. We'll talk on that later. If anyone will share, they
Yes.
can share. But today's we are mostly discuss on that how the culture influence that design. Okay, that our main topic. If you have any kind of thought or anything, you can share with us, and we can continue from that point.
Yes, design is influenced by culture because it directly impacts how user thinks or how user um, operate things. That's why I guess, yes, it is highly influenced by culture.
Okay, thank you, Asta. So, Kanupriya, do you want to share anything or introduce yourself a little bit? Okay, so Kailash, we can continue, right?
Yeah, let's continue. One more pointer here I would like to add. As we all agree that cultural do influence and have a big impact on design. And if we list out the factors which influence, means there are different cultural aspects of which influences, and color is one, as Robert initially iterated that color have a good pointer to look at when we design the cultural aspect of different cultures. And what could be the other pointers, I mean, according to you, or if you have an experience with these other aspects. And the eating habits was one, as I have also shared, which influence in one way. The religion aspects or the regional customs, which also influence in one way. And what could be the other pointers you'd like to add here?
I want to add, I want to add one point, that is a language that's most influence also in that for the design process. If you take an example of India, we have a almost like 22 different kind of languages people are talking about, and they are also interact themselves each other. Okay, so this is the big area. So if you see the now the all the big chunk come with their localization language of that same version of that. If you see the Facebook or some phone pay, so they also introduce that local language into their app or the thing. I think this is also influence to the design also. I mean the process.
Yeah, I think another point that I'd like to add on this front is the age factor. I think age is definitely, for example, if you're designing, let's say, a smartphone for a slightly elder person, you would make sure that, there are options of increasing the font size, or that the screen is bright and, it's not too difficult to use. And similarly, of course, if you're designing something for a child, be it a toy or be it any other thing, you have to make sure that it's bold and it's bright and colorful. So I think age becomes a very big factor, combined with all the other factors that we're speaking about, that really does affect design as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I would just like to touch upon something that I think just Biswajit had mentioned about the language part of it. So interestingly, there was a talk quite some time ago about like what happened was, I'm not sure if it was Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So like they had, it's a pretty famous example. I guess many might have seen, like where they went and advertised in Middle East. So what they do had, they like, interestingly, they didn't choose to write text. They just chose a series of picture, like a comic book kind of thing, where a person is in the desert, is almost dying, and then he discovers Coca-Cola in the next panel, and the third he drinks the Coca-Cola and he gets revitalized. I think it was Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I'm not sure. So, but the problem was, they automatically assume people read from left to right, but in Middle East and all, in like Urdu and those Arabic languages, they read from right to left, and so the entire connotation and the entire story went totally for a toss, and it went for a reverse, and there was a lot of flack for that advertisement as well. So yeah, so like with the language part of it, also the reading direction, also it's important. Like there was another thing about like where if you ask a person, I'm not sure how true it is, but there was a bit of research on that. So they say that if you ask an English person, English speaking person, or someone who reads and writes from left to right, if you ask the person to draw a boy kicking a ball, inadvertently they'll put the boy on the left and the ball is going to the right. But if you ask a person like who reads from right to left, they will generally do it the reverse. The boy will be on the right and then kicking the ball on to the left. So I'm not sure how proven this is, but it's something that it's interesting for us to think about as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Robert, for sharing that. Yeah, cultural different aspects are fine. And anybody would like to add to the point here?
Yeah, I think as well, like good design could be sort of in any language, but you'd still be able to use it. So if sort of you're designing, say if I went on a Japanese website to buy, let's say a book, if I can navigate that website without reading anything, but know where the basket is and know where to put my address, I feel like that's what makes good design. It's you can use it, and it can be in any language, and it doesn't sort of stop you in any of the process. You just sort of, you're familiar with things. And I think between all cultures, there's things we are familiar with, such as I know someone mentioned like icons, like a basket icon and things like that. And there's things what we should use in design which is recognizable to everybody.
Yeah, one example is the Netflix website. I mean, the purpose of that's visually very appealing, and in fact, language plays a role, least important role in terms of the um, what it is meant to be. Means if we see the um, programs that they are featuring on their sites, it represents they are showcasing their sites. And if you do not aware of the language into the site also, you can navigate and select your program of your choice. And that's the usability of every website or application should be designed, so that the minimizing the language barrier the user can use to the greater extent.
Yeah, correct. Another aspect, I think we can think about the localization. If you come up with some app or something, you have to keep in the mind the localization, the people current, the area you are working on, that how the people, their food behavior, their dress and cloth, how they wear, their fashion culture, all these things. Because if you see that Healthify Me or some kind of app, they are if you are based out of Karnataka, and they tell you about that Italy, how much calories is there, how much calories in that dosa, all this stuff. If you based out of Kolkata, they show you the roti, how much calories is there, and how puris, how much calories. So this kind of localization of that also influence to design and to provide the user the correct information based on that culture itself. So I think Rashmi is also joining. Hi Rashmi,
Hi, good morning, everyone.
how are you?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you.
Hi Ratul, good morning. Yeah, so anyone also contribute something? Hello.
Yeah. Anybody wants to contribute to the factors that influence, or we should move forward with some instances so that we can have some kind of experience, means which influence, or some instances of cultural where cultural has impacted in a design. If anybody have such kind of experiences, they can share that.
Kailash, I think Ratul is not being able to unmute. Is it a setting or
No.
side or something on his side? I could unmute. Ratul is not being able to unmute.
I have enabled that. It's enabled already.
Okay, we can continue our talk. Might be some issue. The best is can leave and again rejoin the session, so it will might help you. Okay, so that is one pointer is the localization. So any other aspect also you anyone want to add over here?
Can you hear me, Biswajit?
I can hear you. So other can share something.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk, I am not sure if this was already discussed. I joined late, sorry. When it comes to culture and its influence on design, right? As UX designers, how do we think we have to be aware of different cultures? For example, using some colors or some shapes, it could mean one thing in one culture and a totally different thing in another culture. So if we can discuss about that, being UX designers, how important is it to even starting with the research about your decisions on some shapes and colors when it comes to culture?
In fact, this should be the first consideration in the initial phase only, while we are selecting the user, means who would be the ultimate user who will be using the product. Means there and there only we should focus on the cultural aspect of the design, and consider the pointers like we discussed, the language, the color, and different, and which matches with the product, and so that it may have the good impact and do not affect the product in the long run. This would be the first consideration while before the as a part of the user research. What are others' thought onto this point? They can share there.
Yeah, so I feel also there's a term that is used quite often that we, at least in India, is not caught up as much as diversity. So what they say about like having a very diverse staff. Okay, so what happened is like, see, it is one thing to actually be like kind of doing a bit of research, going in to a different culture and doing a bit of research and then coming out or doing and then trying to be aware. And then another thing is if you actually have to interact day in and day out with someone of a totally different culture. So there are many things that you might pick up, which you wouldn't have picked up if you had just gone in as a professional person to just to look at one culture, right? So I think one of the way to maybe inculcate or become more aware of a different culture itself is maybe to have a more diverse workforce, which a lot of companies actually pushing for that. So that does impact. It's not only about being aware of different culture. It will also become you would be more accommodative of different culture also when you're designing things and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think normally in corporations, there's a timeline that in this timeline we have to complete our task and we have to get out with the product or launch the product. So this word accommodating, this is very, very much important to be included in the culture of corporations. Not necessarily that just because a product need to be launched or a service need to be launched, the research could be cut down. So from cultural perspective, the user experience research or user research should continue at all point in time, like anthropological research and this kind of research or observational research should continue, where it should not be just a part of project that for the project the research have been done, but it should be part of the whole identity of the corporation, where the research should be ongoing, and at different times the extracts from that research could be taken and incorporated in the product and services of the corporation. So that's how the accommodating word should be viewed in today's world.
Yeah, I think just continuing from Robert and Ratul's point, like, just giving an example of my previous organization, which was this line of cafe and bars across India called Social. It's not there in Calcutta, but it's there in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, and all of that. So I was actually a part of the content and the design team at Social before JioSavan. So there, we used to very consciously. So the basic concept behind every social is that it's hyper local, and it's it's based on the neighborhoods of the places that it's based out of, wherever it's set up. So we need to make sure, of course, we used to plan everything in Bombay, like most of the design stuff and most of the how we used to plan the outlet used to be in Bombay, and then it was implemented in the outlet itself. But we kind of made sure every time that we had people on ground, on the actual locations, understanding the cultural nuances, understanding if something is, let's say, if it's okay to kind of go ahead with the design, because this was actually because these are restaurants, right? So these are actual physical spaces. It's not something that you can just undo or you can just delete. So I think it's something that's very interesting to kind of take into account, where the whole diversification point, or to include as many people as possible on ground as well, in case of physical design. I think that becomes a very important facet.
So there is something called cultural iceberg model, and I was sharing the links sometime back in all the groups about cultural iceberg. So that is something through anthropological studies and observational studies and long-term diary studies only could be evaluated, those cultural iceberg models properly. And that is very important in inheriting by the corporate culture, or the corporations, or the way their budget cycle work, or yearly cycles or quarterly cycles work, and the demands they have, the expectations they have, the pace with which the corporates are moving or earning. So all these things are interrelated, and this should also relate with the anthropological studies, ongoing anthropological studies inside user research department. And further, that should connect with the cultural iceberg model to holistically understand a culture, evaluate a culture, and only then make minimal intervention to improve the things.
Ratul, this cultural iceberg thing is a totally new concept, at least to many of us, to at least me. So can you maybe elaborate exactly, give a very rough overview, brief overview of what exactly it is?
Right. I have watched a couple of videos on cultural iceberg, and I don't exactly memorize this thing, but on the surface level, you can see a certain things. You can feel there is certain differences. Like if you see some Indians visiting Germany or Japan, they publish a lot of YouTube videos where they explain how Germany is different from India, or how Japan is different from India. That is on a surface level. But then as you go down in the cultural iceberg, there is the whole concept of belief system and mental models. So belief system is also a kind of mental model, but that is very subconscious part, where the way you would think about ethics, you would think about moral, you'll think about value, or integrity. These things come into picture. So long back, I have watched some video, and I just remember one extract, and that too in a very non-structured way. So it says that the concept of integrity for all of us is different. For an American, if his friend does something wrong, he would probably tell it to the police and then visit his friend every day to the prison. That is what integrity means to him. For probably a Japanese guy, he would he wouldn't confront to the police, because that would cause trouble to his friend, and that is how he see integrity from his interpersonal relationship perspective. Similarly, the word integrity and the way integrity been practiced in India and inside India in different cultures, in different states, is very, very different.
That is why when we move from one state to another state, we see such a huge difference in working culture and social life and all the other aspects. All these things are this whole cultural iceberg model touch upon the theological part of human existence, that is the religion, theology, spirituality, those things also, because in a society those kind of concepts or bodies or institutions retain the integrity and the beliefs of the whole society, and then it also can be explained through philosophy. It can also be explained through sociology. So this whole cultural iceberg model can be explained, the different aspects of it can be explained by different streams. So it's a very big concept. Basically, books and books can be written on it.
Oh, thanks, Ratul. So this is something new, and thanks for the explanation. I think it's worth it for all of us as designers to maybe explore this a bit more. Yeah, thanks. At least keep in mind, like, what are the kind of like the surface level cultural aspect, and what are the deeper level aspect that we should at least be aware of. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for taking sharing this concept.
So recently, I've been watching a lot of art-related documentaries and short videos which showed up on YouTube, which discuss about different kind of artists in different era and why they have come up with a certain kind of art form and what difference does that made in the social atmosphere or political atmosphere, or economically how does that impact it, or that has been taken forward later at a different era. Like I was watching Bauhaus, which this revolution started 100 years back in Germany with Bauhaus University, and but now if you see, we can see the imprints of Bauhaus more prominently in the modern world, in the way our buildings have been made, our lives have been designed, the products are designed, the services, or our way of thinking. So everything have been impacted a lot by Bauhaus. So certain things sprout at a different era, which have a impact in another era. So from that perspective, also designers must think, because being a designer, see, for an engineer, his goal is to get something quickly done. So industrial revolution came, where first engineers started doing things, and things started happening, things started improving, and new machines came up. But then at the same time, designers also visualize, or artists also visualize how would, in the 19th century, earlier 19th century, they visualize how would be the 21st century, or in the 2000s, what would be there. So in those times, 1900, some pictures, artists, drawings and all of them visualizing how 2000 will be. They have drawn about flying cars and a lot of other gadgets and all. And we have came a lot far from there. Like we have crossed that. The way they have designed, thinking about a balloon flying in the sky, we have now supersonic planes and all those things in just last 100 years. So they have thought about it. That's why the rest of the people could able to visualize and then get behind it to make it realize. Similarly, James Bond, if you see the movie, the first James Bond in the 1960s, it have thought about some gadgets and all, and those gadgets are now there in the iPhone, in the form of iPhone and the rest of the smaller, faster, sleek gadgets. Looks very good, very aesthetically pleasing, minimalistic gadgets and all. So at one point in time, artists have thought about it, designers have thought about it. They put it forward through films, videos, drawings, paintings, and other visual expressions, and those has been realized in today's world, by taken up by different streams, and that has been realized in today's world. So culturally, things are slow, things change seldom and very slowly, as Don Norman say that psychologically, the human psychology was the same 100 year back also, probably 1,000 year back also, probably 2,000 year back also. So our mind have changed very slowly, the psychology perspective, but then the outcome of it have changed fast. So we can change the design, we cannot change the human. For that reason, we cannot expect to change the human completely. We may through the change of design and atmosphere and environment, we may expect the human being will change a little bit, but the psychology, the basic fundamentals of psychology, which was there earlier, still exists the same way. So that is what culture is. The same things exist.
True, Ratul. Rightly said, right? It takes time for human, especially when it comes to psychology, to evolve. That is right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I think Priyabrata is here. We are from Solve by Design supporting Odisha Design Week that is coming up next weekend. It's going to be great. I'm sure all of you have seen and read about it on our LinkedIn and WhatsApp groups. We have this very interesting event coming up from Odisha Design Week. A lot of great speakers, lots of awesome workshops. Yeah, thank you, Kailash, for sharing the screen. And probably Priyabrata, if you're around, can you unmute yourself, please, and then talk a few words about it. Is Priyabrata here? Otherwise, Kailash or Biswajit, anyone.
Priyabrata is here, but I don't know he's able to unmute himself. Okay. So yeah, thanks Rashmi, and thanks Kailash to share this website. So as we are all designers, we have a great chance to join this design week. The design week whole design workshops, different program, the event. I request Kailash to go to that schedule once, then we can come to the speaker. Schedule, go to schedule. I think the programs. If you see the About Us program, yeah, I'll first show you that what we cover in this area. Yes. So see, this is starting from 11th, right, Kailash? Go a little bit up. Yes, so 11th to 15th. So here it's covered that different kind of aspects. If you see here, the typography, calligraphy, also the photography, all the aspect is there, and the workshop is also there. And also it's divided by that speaker also. You also have a great chance to portfolio review also. If you see that portfolio review, that is also there. And yeah, it's a whole, I think starting from 10 to go down. 10, you start from 10 a.m. to go down. How much till 6:30 or 6:30? Yeah, 6:30. So I request you all to now you can see the speaker also. Go to speaker section. Tell us, please.
It's an announcement kind of thing. You can check the website. We will share in the comments, and you can check the website, and you can register from there. And we have a good number of speakers here. A lot of speakers throughout the 5-day schedule, and it's a collaborative or a session notes, and as a speaker, and you can contribute to the talk, and you can have simultaneous sessions as well. And in the end, you can also have a portfolio review, which is the highlight of the sessions. Anyway, I will be just sharing the link on the chat and as well as on the comment on the social media, and you can check the link and register for the event. Thank you. Yeah, before we leave, if we could have a digital selfie, if we could just unmute our cameras and have a selfie, and which will be posted on social media. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Robert left, is it?
Oh, I see. He was in a. Oh, he's still here. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for joining. And we will also have similar kind of discussion in the coming weeks, and on some another topic. And let's join and discuss. And also, we will have a summary of this session on a Medium post, so that it's get recorded somewhere about the discussion. And thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Have a good day. Yeah.
Great weekend.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.